joke. Writer
Hossein Hilbert.
Part 1. Medical jokes. Number 1. Medical training. The professor takes the medical students to a morgue. An uncovered body lies on its stomach on a table. Professor says, in medical science, 2 points are very important: attention and no disgust. I'm going to do something to put you to the test, and I want you to repeat it. Then the professor puts his finger in the anus of the dead body, and after putting it in his mouth, he licks it. This act seems disgusting to the students, but since the professor himself did this and talked about not being disgusted, no one wants to show that he is not qualified as a doctor. Everyone repeats the professor's act one after the other. The professor says, on the second point, you all proved that you didn't feel disgust. So you all passed that, but you all failed the first point, which is far more important, namely attention. I put my middle finger in the anus of the dead body, but I put my index finger in my mouth. But you all put the same finger that you inserted into the anus of the dead body into your mouth. Number 2. Milk. This really happened. In a TV health program, the doctor says, breastfeeding reduces the risk of breast cancer. The presenter asks, breastfeed the baby? The doctor should take the presenter in his arms and answer, no, the neighborhood. Number 3. Uproar. The woman goes to the doctor for a checkup. The doctor says, your heart, your liver, your lungs, and your stomach are healthy. Let me now take a look at the place that has set the world on fire, and has been the cause of turmoil and misery everywhere. The woman takes off her pants. The doctor says, what are you doing, lady? I meant your tongue. Number 4. Stroke. In hospital, the doctor says to a woman, your husband has survived a stroke. She says, this useless man can't finish anything properly. Number 5. Surprise. A young man goes to his doctor and says, Doctor, I've decided to get married, so I need medication. What kind? What is your problem that you require medication? On the way home from work, there is a restaurant that is known for its delicious bean stew. I am addicted to this bean stew and eat it for dinner several times a week, but unfortunately it causes flatulence. I would like you to prescribe me some medication to stop the bloating. It is normal to experience bloating after eating some foods, such as beans. There are medicines that can relieve a little flatulence, but cannot stop it. What should I do then? You have to choose between marriage and beans. 1. It's quite clear. I have to kick the habit of eating beans. Many addicted people stop smoking or taking drugs after a long time. The addiction of getting rid of eating beans should not be a problem. Sometime after getting married, the young man's car breaks down near this restaurant and has to be towed to the repair shop. Now that his car has broken down near his favorite restaurant, the temptation to eat a portion of bean stew is too great. He can then walk home. It would take him about 40 minutes to get rid of the flatulence. He likes the bean stew so much that one portion turns into two. On the way home, nothing happens. When he opens the door, his wife greets him with a black cloth in her hand and says, "I want to blindfold you. I have a surprise for you." Since they have already talked about buying a big TV, he thinks maybe his wife has bought the TV and wants to surprise him with it. After she has tied the cloth, he can no longer see anything at all. His wife takes him by the hand, leads him into the hall, sits him down on a chair and says, "Now I'm going to open your blindfold." At the same time, the phone rings. She says, "Darling, I'll answer the phone and come back soon. Please don't open your blindfold." "Don't worry. I'll wait until you come back." His wife goes into the next room. His stomach, which is no longer used to beans, is completely upset, and he has to empty his flatulence. This phone call gives him an excellent opportunity, and he is happy about it. Sometimes he is bothered by the foul smell, reminiscent of rotten eggs. He tries to get rid of it by waving his hand in front of his nose. As his wife ends the conversation, his stomach settles. His wife comes and says, "Darling, I'm sorry my conversation took so long." When the blindfold is removed, he sees that he is sitting in the chair above the 12-seater dining table and that there are a total of 5 ladies and 5 gentlemen sitting on both sides of the table. His wife says happily, "Darling, I have invited my best friends and their husbands to dinner to meet you." Number 6, Star. A man moves into a new town with his family. What catches their attention are the little lights around the doctor's office signs, some of which are lit up. He asks one of his new colleagues about them. "In our town, these little lights are called stars. Every doctor is obliged to light up as many stars as the number of patients who have died as a result of his mistake." The man thinks to himself, "What an interesting idea. You can tell which doctor is good and which is bad by the number of lights that are lit." Some time later, his wife falls ill. After driving through the city for a while, he finally sees a doctor's office signs with only 2 lights on. He immediately goes into the doctor's office with his wife and says to him, "Doctor, you are the best doctor in this town." The young doctor asks in surprise, "How did you come to this conclusion?" "Because you only have 2 stars. I just started working yesterday." Number 6, Expectations. The professor is giving the medical students an oral exam. He asks a girl. Which limb can grow 16 times bigger? The girl shyly lowers her head and says, "It would be better if you asked a male fellow student this question." The professor says, "Which gentleman knows the answer to this question?" Numerous male students raise their hands. The professor says to one of them, "What is the answer?" The pupil. Exactly. Then he turns to the girl and says, "Miss, did you hear the right answer?" The girl says shyly, "Yes." The professor says, "By the way, it's better if you don't enter into a relationship with such expectations." Number 7. The patient runs out of the operating room and meets the department head in the corridor. "What happened, Mr. Meyer? Why are you running out of the operating theater so scared?" The nurse in the operating theater said, "You don't need to be afraid. There will be no problem, this is a simple appendectomy." Well, she's right. You shouldn't worry. An appendectomy is really a simple operation, but she didn't say that to me. She said it to the young surgeon.